Here's your host, Chelsea Edwards.
All my besties in the house say hey. Welcome to another episode of Chat with Chelsea. I'm your daytime bestie, Chelsea Edwards. Now, we know that reading is fundamental. We definitely get that. But today's guests, they are reminding us of something bigger, that kids aren't just hungry for books, they are starving for a sense of belonging and belief in themselves. That comes straight from an author who we will chat with later. But our first guest, they have created a movement that has reached more than 1 million students through literacy and hip hop, combining the two. Think of it. They are the founders of Reading with a Rapper. They're also joined by Buddy Rowe, a Houston-based artist who is leaving a positive impact through his music.
Looking at streets being desolate, looking at states left us in, looking at state-to-state deficits, looking what the Bride Gate legend did. I was raised to lose literally, now I'm teaching kids literacy. How haters know it's bitter to see, looking at their faces pitifully.
Hey, all right. Welcome to Chat with Chelsea, Buddy Rowe. And we've got the founders of Reading with a Rapper, Jaron Small, Douglas Johnson. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Now, I've heard so much about this program, but I feel like if I say Reading with the Rapper, people are still gonna think it's just, sitting down, reading with the rapper.
Right.
But it's so much more than that.
So much more.
Okay, let's start there.
Okay.
How much more is it?
Man, it's a lot. It's a label. We're actually working with artists and teachers, and we're creating new formats of content. So we've invented CPs, which are curriculum projects. It allows us to legally advertise and bring in streaming commercial rights into schools. So we're working with artists like Buddy Rowe, where he's made an entire CP that we're literally giving to students to literally break down figurative language and the structure, mood and tone, but also developing them on the social and emotional learning side of everything. So it's really holistic, but the music is the driver for all of that.
Okay, so Buddy, what are you trying to teach through this project?
From my side, it's all about finding yourself, because you can't really focus in school if you don't know who you are and you got all these distractions going on around you, which was my case in high school and middle school. I had a lot of environmental things going on, which didn't really allow me to excel in school. So my belief is that once we get people to finding themselves, get children to finding themselves, then they can excel in the actual X's and O's of what school has to offer.
Okay, so there's a connection between, okay, you have this curriculum, you have all these things you're supposed to learn, but also there's a whole emotional side of it, there's the culture side of it, and y'all are bringing it all together to get kids really involved. Like, Doug, what was the problem that you all were seeing where y'all decided to come up with this program?
So we started our nonprofit fresh out of college called Legends Do Live, where our mission is to fund and equip disadvantaged youth through programs, workshops, and cultural experiences. So we were doing all types of events and doing scholarships in schools. Being in schools that much, we saw how bad literacy was. And I think a lot of times people won't necessarily see it if you're not around mass or a lot of kids at once in different spaces like school spaces. So being in that, we saw how bad literacy was. We were like, okay, so why isn't there anything that's connecting with them and allowing them to want to read, to want to figure out these, like Buddy said, the X's and O's of reading and literacy? Because it's not cool, it's not fun. So we set out on a mission to figure out, like, how can we create something that they can see themselves in, that's fun, build environments around them that's conducive to wanting to learn.
Yep.
And are you a rapper too? Because the way you spit that out, like,
No,
literacy.
I'm not.
But him being from New York, you know?
Yeah, I'm from New York, and I love words, but I'm not a rapper.
It was so smooth. Now, you talk about the problem of literacy. Let's go to the beginning.
Okay.
Was it first just sitting down reading with the rapper before all of this?
No, it was really, to like Doug said, it was Legends Do Live, but Doug and I were those kids that struggled to even get into college. So it really started with us, really first. Like, I lost my scholarships because I couldn't really pass my standardized testing at the time. Doug, coming from New York, his environment wasn't conducive to him wanting to just be the best of himself. It started from just meeting a need from ourselves, and then it kind of like just grew to this movement of everybody needs literacy. more than 54% of the country reads at a 5th grade level. If we know this, when you think about workforce and economic development, there really isn't any, because the industry that provides that isn't doing what it needs to do, which is the education industry. But no one's getting to the root of learning. So I think we were trying to figure out how to have a solution versus just being stuck in the idea of trying to fix something. And it just grew to this, where we were working with so many teachers, and these are ELA teachers that are still working in these ISDs, where we're able to pay them extra, do professional development, train them, and give them a different environment in the space that just ultimately we knew that everyone needed, not just the kid, but the teacher, the admin, and the parents. So it's really holistic, and we've designed a curriculum that is impacting kids K through 12, but ultimately we want to impact humans and adults, because we feel like if a kid is getting what they need, but they can't come home to get that same substance, it's going to actually kind of backfire. So how do we have a curriculum that could be for the entire family?
Wow.
And not just the kid, but we're starting with the kid, though.
Oh, so good. Okay, we got to get more into the solutions. Okay, but we have to take a quick break. We got people to pay too. Okay, we'll be right back after this, you guys. Reading with the Rapper is turning classrooms into creative studios and making reading not a chore, but a vibe. All right? So what does a program look like, or what does a session look like?
Yeah, so really we'll come into a school and we'll give kids composition notebooks, and we'll ask them, the first thing we'll do is write about yourself. We want to see what you think about yourself as a human being. But from those writing prompts, we can see your ELA issues and your SEL issues. Then from those prompts, we go back to our teachers in our music research department, and we're going to say, let's create a curriculum project that's going to combat all of that. So they go through 2 weeks of academic lesson plans centered around the content and music. On top of that, then they come back and write about themselves again. So we see instant growth of how they structurally are writing, right? Whether it be inferencing, mood and tone, wherever that issue might be for them. Now for another 2 weeks, what is Buddy's content talking about to correlate back to you, why you don't want to come to school, or why you're getting in trouble, but making that the medium in the safe space. Then they come back and write about themselves again. So we see how they socially feel about themselves now. So really, over the 7 to 8 sessions, they're writing their own rap, poem, essay about themselves, rediscovering themselves through the culture and the content.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Buddy, have you been able to see this in action?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, before we started rolling out, like I had to sit down so I could kind of go through a soft example of how it would feel with some of the teachers and with Jaren, and I got to see it. And also, like at the end of everything, I usually like to come in when we've done things through the school. Like I like to come in, do a closing ceremony, and actually interact with the people that's taking the course.
Are the kids like, oh my gosh, what a
Usually, absolutely.
I love that. So this has already reached so many students. We're talking nationwide, right? Tell me about that.
So we've been able to impact over 1 million students right here in Houston, and as well as several other states. Okay. We plan to scale our program because for us it's all about accessibility. Since we did our data with Pepperdine University, and we saw that we had over 66% increases in standardized test scores, reading scores.
Oh, wow.
So once we kind of compiled a lot of that data, we saw that it was really important for us to be able to make this accessible and get it to as many students that needed it and parents that wanted it. And we have a lot of parents that say, how can my kid get this if it's not at their school? So we no longer wanted the school to be the barrier for them to get access to this. So we're starting our own school district essentially. So it's going to be called Star Academy. We're actually launching our tour now, doing a community tour where we'll go to every location and do events, pop-up events where parents can come by with their kids and get a taste of what it's going to be like to be in the class. We'll be starting on all Saturdays. Okay. So parents can come drop their kids off on Saturdays. They can get their Reading with a Rapper lessons for 6 to 8 weeks. And then we'll have new cohorts starting every 6 to 8 weeks. But they'll get the full experience with the artists, and then a lot of the times they'll be in some of our renovated classrooms, because we also renovate classrooms in a lot of schools. Okay. And now we're renovating our own spaces for Star Academy to take place in.
Okay, I can't wait to see y'all win. Buddy, how would you recommend parents talk to their kids if they are battling with some of the things that you battled with, and you want to open that gateway, maybe give them other outlets?
I would say in an open and honest way. I think that was a benefit that I had to find myself a little earlier, was a relationship with my father that kind of just laid it out flat for me and real. So when the realities of life started to come, I was able to piece things together in a way that was faster than the peers around me. So I think having open communication with the children, and then also having a listening ear to what they're going through, because I had a great home that I was going to. I seen love in my household, but the second I stepped out of the household, I saw gang violence. I saw, a lot of street stuff, and so I was conflicted with a lot of things in my head. And just being able to come home and have someone to empathize with that, what I was going through when I stepped out of the house, and tell me how to navigate that, it brought me to a place of knowing myself a lot earlier. So I think just having that open communication, talking honestly with your children, but then also hearing what they're actually going through once they leave out of the household.
Yeah,
No one
so
really
important.
does that. Ever just asks, like, what do you not like about school? It's just simply asking a group that we're trying to impact, right? But it's adults adulting with adults and not asking the group that we're trying to impact, do you like this? Does it make sense for you? Should we change this, right? Because ultimately they're the stakeholder. Yeah. It's really about them, right? And so oftentimes when we go into schools, admin to be like, man, what do you think? We know the kids gonna like it. What do you think? So we have to treat them as if they're kids and put them back in that mindset of like, you remember when you were in school and you wanted to have fun and adults told you no, what you did, and now we're becoming that same thing we said we would never do.
Yeah. What do you realistically hope to see through the opening of the Star Academy and your other programs?
I think our biggest goal is through what we're doing, is to rebuild community. Of course, we're going to impact these literacy rates. We're going to add on Spanish and all these other derivatives. But while we're doing that, I think it's important that we understand that we can do for ourselves, and it doesn't take a lot. So I think as long as we're educating and we're giving people and putting the power back in parents' hands, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. It's a new system. It's having a built-in solution.
Yeah.
We don't want to do any more intervention. We want to prevent and then grow from there, right? And giving the next generation a chance to really have something sustainable and meaningful while they're here on this earth. And just changing humans, because literacy is a human problem. It's ageless and colorless. And I think that once we kind of look at that, we'll start developing and looking at how these social problems are really more human problems. But if we don't have those skills to identify that, you kind of really in this gray space. So just really eradicating a lot of these things that are just hurting our communities, but really just being prosperous as we move forward.
That was deep. You a rapper too, okay?
A little bit.
All right.
A little razzle-dazzle.
Where can people buy in to Reading with the Rapper?
Yeah, readingwitharapper.com, where you can find everything about Star Academy. You can actually go listen to Lost and Found, the CP that Buddy already made, on the website or any other streaming device you might listen to your music on.
Okay.
But classes are open now for them to go register. Of course, if you want to be a part of the tour, you can go get a ticket to come to the open house tour. But everything's on readingwitharapper.com.
All right, and then Buddy, I want to hear more of your fantastic music.
Absolutely. Buddy Rowe, 7100 on social media, BUDDIEROE 7100, and Buddy Rowe everywhere. I'm on every single thing that you can look for, and avenuealign.com.
Yeah, that's something my son can actually listen to.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that from you. Thank you guys so much for being here. It was fantastic. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have an author with a very cool way of getting your kids into reading. Be right back. She is the coolest author in town. Welcome, Charlie Marcol, creator of the Cool Collective.
Yes.
More than one book.
More than one book. It's the Cool series, but
Yes.
Cool stands for Creating Our Own Legacy.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't know that part. I just thought it was cool because I see all the hair and everything. I love to see it. So tell me about this.
So I started this brand because it was something that I needed when I was 9 years old. When I was 9 years old, I stood in the mirror and I wondered if I was enough, pretty enough, smart enough, cute enough. And no matter where I searched, I could not find the space that told me that I mattered and my confidence could bloom, but I could learn to lead with love. And because I didn't find it, when I became a former educator, I decided to create that space myself.
Wow. And you were actually teaching literacy.
Yes, I was an ELA teacher for 18 years.
Wow. And teacher of the year.
And teacher of the year 3 times.
3 times. So you know what you're doing. So when did you decide to start writing? Was there a certain point in your career where you were like, I just need to go ahead and make this dream come true?
Yes. So my last year in the classroom, I remember one of my favorite students coming into class that particular day with a hoodie on her head. And she, was like, I don't feel pretty. And I was in the hallway combing hair.
Wow.
Combing hair, because our hair is our currency. You and I are old enough to go and do something about it, but imagine being 9 years old, not knowing how to start, where to begin. And so I said, that's it. I'm gonna put this in a book to give little girls positive affirmations, to affirm them. No matter what your hair look like, you are still important. You still matter. And that grew into my cool crown. Well, then my son's like, yo, Mom, wait a minute.
What about us?
What about us? Because they use our hair against us as academic leverage. So then that's when I created Crown to Be Cool.
Let's touch on that though, because I don't want to glaze over that. A lot of people may not be aware of the relation to hair and academics.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that part.
So in the state of Texas, we know for a fact that there are cases where students, particularly male students, have not been able to matriculate and expelled due to their hair, because some cultures look at our hair as unkept and unclean. And my son was a curly hair little boy, and he loved it to be big and out of this world. And here it is. It's like, yo, you're inspiring all of these other people. What about the boys? And so I was like, you know what, son? Boys grow up to be kings. They are the salt of the earth. So I wanted to make sure that I affirmed them too. And on the affirmations page, you'll see it says, you are good trouble.
Oh, I love that.
So inside, we affirm our daughters, but what about our sons? And each book talks about a history lesson that's attached to our culture. So I wanted to make sure that these students have the opportunity to see themselves in every page that they turn.
Wow, I love this. Heavy is the head that wears the cool crown, and I promise I won't let anyone tear me down. Charlie, so good.
Thank you.
I get emotional because I was that little girl too. And it was so hard during that time of us growing up to see ourselves on TV and in magazines. We were seeing images of people who did not look like us.
Yes.
And I'm so happy you are providing that. Oh my gosh. All right, so you have created something to instill pride in our children.
Instill joy.
And joy.
Joy. Our
Yes.
children do not experience joy enough.
Are there other ways that you think parents can help build that pride and that joy as well?
So one thing that parents should do is affirm your children. The word I see you can go a long way. I am almost 50 years old, and when somebody says, I see you, it does something to me. Imagine a child who feels like they have not been seen. They're in a classroom of 25 or more. And so if a kid comes home and they hear, I see you, I love you, you matter. You decide what we're eating today. You decide. Like, that helps build those leadership skills.
Yes.
Because leadership is a lifelong skill that a child needs.
Right. And it's something that some parents may think they're either born with or without, but you're saying you can build it.
You can
within your
build.
children.
Leadership is built. It is a lifelong skill. Another thing a parent can do, especially around the holidays, is culture. Celebrate your culture. Our culture is our superpower. The reason why I know how to cook chicken and dressing and dumplings and all of those other things, because I was in the kitchen cutting up onions and bell peppers. So I had the opportunity to listen to the stories, those generational stories that we pass down. Our children don't know stories anymore. Do you remember how when we were little, we would go over grandma's house and have those palettes and do those talent shows?
Yes, the palettes.
The palettes, right?
Yes.
Or even other things that parents can do is let the children pick the book. But more importantly, you read the book too. Oftentimes as parents, we get the book and then we say, all right, go read.
Yeah.
But how can you ask those probing questions to your children if you've never had the opportunity to read the book? So you can read the book together to have those meaningful and magical conversations.
I love that. Those are great tips and plenty of wonderful books to choose from.
Yes.
All right, tell the folks where they can find the Cool Collective and anything else you're working on.
So we have coming up at the end of this month, we are having an ugly sweater, pack the blessing bag party, because I have built community with the girls that are inside of the Cool Collective. So we have that coming up at the end of this month. But to find out more, you can go to www.itsthecoolcollective.com.
All right. Anything else you want to leave the folks with, Charlie?
Make this holiday meaningful but magical. Your children are watching you. You are their first teacher, and they soak it up, and they are a sponge. So teach them how to love their culture, affirm them, but remember that leadership is built, and it is a lifelong skill.
So good. I gotta let you go because you have me over here crying, okay? Guys, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Thank you so much, Charlie, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
And thank you to our other guests, Reading with the Rapper. You guys can keep up with us on social at Chelsea Show Fox. And don't forget to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Wardrobe provided by Trezor Cache Boutique. We'll see you on the next Chatting with Chelsea.